All right, as promised, the Ad Hoc Committee investigating allegations that were made by Lieutenant-General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi is meeting this evening to consider its draft report.
The committee has been sitting virtually from around 7 p.m., so about an hour ago, so with the report expected to set out its findings as well as recommendations. So let's join in and take you live to those proceedings on the go now.
If we're reading the context, the president did respond to the committee. Yes, he did not give oral evidence. Yes, the members did not test his chronology. And if we're saying that it was a limitation of adequacy, yeah, we can live with that, Chair. It's not an issue, but I'm not sure what we mean by fuller assessment. Perhaps we can ask the MK to clarify before we confirm that we are in agreement. Thank you, Chair.
No, they will answer that when we deal with the findings and the recommendations. Can I now continue with the rotation, the DA?
Yeah, Chair, we can live with that as well. It's fine.
The EFF?
Supported, Chair.
The IFP? The PA?
We agree with Honorable Sangoni. Clarification. Thank you.
Okay, the Action SA. Thank you so much. We are moving to the next page, which is 388L, that is the MKP. Honorable Skosana.
Chair, as it is, Chair. Chat as it is, Chair.
Okay, the EFF, there is a part of your submission there.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Because this is under the evidentiary overview, it was more for us to note that while the minister took responsibility in his testimony that he gave the directive himself and there was no third party, it was just that we need to note that Lieutenant-General Mkhwanazi, and in his testimony before us, was not convinced that it was. And I think it was Kibindi, or there was some email trail that went via the advisor. So there was a bit of uncertainty whether the directive came directly from him and there wasn't anybody else that was involved in it, though we have to take. So this paragraph was more for us to be able to record that there were alternate testimonies or alternate views about the directive, noting that the minister himself has or said he took responsibility and he was not influenced by anybody else in actually writing the letter, not necessarily on making the decision. I hope that makes sense.
Okay, let's rotate the African National Congress.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. We reject the MK's submission on this. Firstly, okay, the issue of the timing we have dealt with over and over again. The apparent, I'm not sure. But we don't agree with the with the MKP's formulation. However, on the EFF submission, which in our understanding, they want to expand and dig into how the minister made the decision, which I think is something that we have over time sought to understand. I mean, it was the basis of this inquiry. The origin, the minister has sought to explain the origin. There's been no evidence that has been presented before us in terms of its origin being elsewhere. Authorship also we don't think is in doubt. But if they're saying that, you know, we need to look at something that we have looked at again, it doesn't make sense. But I suppose that at the core of the Ad Hoc Committee itself would have been this directive. I don't know if further down in the documentation, Chair, sorry, my memory is failing me, if further down in the documentation, the EFF goes to then explain how they think that this must be done. I know that at some point, I think there was a reference to either forensic watwati, looking at the metadata of the documents and so forth. But yeah, we don't have an issue with that. But the MK submission, we don't agree with. We support the EFF's submission on this, barring the issues that we have raised around timing and so forth, and the issue of influence as well, which I think we had dealt with earlier. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, the DA.
Thank you, Chair. We don't support the MK submission. We don't think it adds any significant value. We do support the submission of the EFF. In fact, I think there's quite a bit that later on in the report could potentially be added to that for further value. So we submit, Chair, that we don't support the submission by MK, but we do support the one by the EFF. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, the EFF on the submission of the MK. Honorable Matthys. Honorable Mnango. Honorable Solis.
Chair, we agree with the submission of the MKP in as far as they are saying that the timing of the directive, its apparent benefit to persons affected by the Gauteng investigations. They are saying that it requires assessment, which is true. It does require assessment. When it comes to the last part, and that Minister Mkhunu had been influenced by Mr. Haas and Mr. Mkhwanazi, we feel that should be differently phrased, although it's not entirely misplaced, but it gives the impression that the minister only considered those two submissions or those two things that was given to him, which we feel is not accurate. So it should read differently in a sense to say that by Mr. Haas and Mr. Mkhwanazi, including other considerations, so that it doesn't give the impression that it's just them. And then the EFF, we definitely agree with that submission, that the rationale, origin, and authorship, and the timing of the directive be assessed. We do agree with that. Thank you, Chairperson.
All right, that's just a sampling of the proceedings of the Ad Hoc Committee out in Parliament, considering the allegations of criminal criminal what?
Infiltration.
Criminal infiltration, political interference, as well as corruption within the criminal justice system. It's phrased that way. They are going through this, it's going to be a painstaking exercise, clearly. If you looked at the top of the screen, I think it's, what do they call it? The taskbar.
Yes.
The bar at the top there. Yeah. If the team can put it up for a moment, you will see that it says it is version 4. So look right there at the top there, the PDF information. Draft report version 4, 9 August 2026, submitted with corrections.
Yeah.
Some corrections are in green, other corrections are in red, and they're going paragraph by paragraph in a document that we are told is 800 pages long.
And, you know, when you look at this very part, right, it's quite important because it seems to be a point where they cannot agree on.
Yeah.
And this is around the penning of that letter disbanding the PKTT by Minister Senzo Mchunu. And the MK party speaks about how for them, the committee must find that Brown Mokgotsi as well as Mary de Haas were the ones that influenced the minister to make this decision. At the same time, you think about the fact that there was also that issue to us of where does this letter emanate from exactly? Did the minister author it or not? So it seems if they can't agree on just this one paragraph, how long do they have to
look?
go?
To their credit, if you look at the bottom before we take that off air, they are now on page 388 of 788. So it seems they are making some kind of progress. The key consideration that I saw a few days ago, Bongiwe, as a final point at least from me, the key consideration has been that the parties seem to be agreeing that theirs is to make findings around institutional failures and weaknesses, but criminal guilt is something that a lot of them are gravitating to say, let's steer clear of that. Let's not seek to make findings about criminal guilt or otherwise in the matters that we have considered. And
also for some of them, it seems that they are preparing themselves for the reality that when the Nhlanhla Commission report comes out as well, it's going to reach parliamentary shores and they'll also just grapple with that. But it's interesting to watch this process nonetheless, Tulas, because a lot of what they've had to contend with as far as some of the witnesses are concerned, we are now hearing different versions of it in the Nhlanhla Commission. So quite interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll continue to report extensively on that process of drafting what will eventually be the final report of the Ad Hoc Committee.